Tonight on Reporting Scotland, a man is jailed for life for the brutal murder of his girlfriend at their South Lanarkshire home. Ewan Methven admitted the violent attack on 21-year-old Phoenix Spencer Horn at a flat in East Kilbride. Also tonight, a warning of the dangers of the water during a heatwave.
Going into the water, if you're not an experienced open water swimmer, is extremely hazardous and people should avoid it.
It's after a 15-year-old boy and 3 other people died in separate police call-outs on Scotland's hottest day in 2 years. A man is sentenced to a 10-month nighttime curfew for his part in the disorder on Bonfire night in Edinburgh last year.
I'm live in Kirkwall as Orkney hosts the International Island Games.
And coming up in the sport, 3 more Scots are called into the British and Irish Lions squad's tour of Australia, while Scotland aim to bounce back from defeat to Fiji.
Hello, I'm Laura Miller. Welcome to Monday's programme. She was just 21 years old. Phoenix Spencer Horn, brutally murdered by her boyfriend in the home they shared in South Lanarkshire last year. Today, 27-year-old Ewan Methven was jailed for life in order to spend a minimum of 23 years in prison. He had repeatedly stabbed Phoenix, then attempted to cover up his crime, even pretending to her family she was still alive. Katrina Renton reports, and a warning that you may find some of the details distressing.
A large group of Phoenix's family and friends came to court to see the man they had trusted and welcomed into their lives be sentenced for taking Phoenix away from them. Phoenix Spencer Horn was only 21 when she was murdered by her partner. Last month, Ewan Methven admitted his guilt. The court heard Methven strangled Phoenix and stabbed her 20 times. After he killed her, he severed her head and tried to remove her limbs and torso from her body. Today, Lord Matthews sentenced him to a minimum of 23 years in prison.
Ewan Methven, you pleaded guilty to a dreadful crime, namely the murder of Phoenix Spencer Horn, a much-loved and sadly missed daughter, sister, niece, cousin and friend. At 21 years and 134 days old, she was standing at the threshold of what should have been a long and fulfilling life. You were a trusted member of her family, but you betrayed that trust and robbed her of life in the cruelest way.
The couple had started dating 2 years previously. They had recently moved into a flat in East Kilbride. Methven was a postman, while Phoenix held part-time jobs as a waitress at a hotel and a local coffee shop. On the 16th of November, the day Phoenix died, she had been working. Methven had texted her during her shift, complaining of feeling lonely due to her hours. Phoenix apologised for that. When she got home that evening, they had dinner. At around midnight, a downstairs neighbour heard a loud noise and hurried footsteps. Phoenix had been killed.
The court heard Methven then spent the weekend driving around in Phoenix's car. He scrolled through her phone and searched for pornography on the internet, as well as making several attempts to buy cocaine. He sent messages from Phoenix's phone to her mother, pretending to be her. It wasn't until the 18th of November, around a day and a half after Phoenix's death, that he dialed 999. He claimed the murder happened when he was having a psychotic episode induced by cocaine, alcohol and steroids, and had blacked out.
Methven was not in court today, but appeared by video link. In a letter to Lord Matthews, he wrote, "I know how loved Phoenix was and how she made her family complete. I cannot believe I have taken her from them." Phoenix's friends are keeping her memory alive, campaigning to prevent domestic violence. On a fundraising page it says, "Her name, Phoenix, now stands for more than loss. It stands for action. This is what it means to rise from the ashes, to take devastation and use it to protect others." Katrina Renton reporting Scotland at the High Court in Glasgow.
A 15-year-old boy and 3 other people have died in separate police call-outs on Scotland's hottest weekend in 2 years. People flocked to beauty spots as the temperature hit 32 degrees in some places. Most enjoyed a day out in glorious weather, but as our correspondent David Henderson reports, the weekend's events have highlighted the dangers of rivers and lochs.
It was a rare weekend heat wave, with many heading out to enjoy the sunshine. And for some, that meant taking a dip in the sea, lochs and rivers. But this wasn't free of risk. It brought tragedy to this quiet stretch of the River Kelvin on the north side of Glasgow, an accident claiming the life of a 15-year-old boy who'd been in the water on Saturday evening. Late the same night, a man took a swim on Loch Lomond and failed to return. His body only recovered close to midnight. Accidents in fresh water claimed 3 lives in all. On Loch Lomond, on the River Kelvin in Glasgow, and in the East Lothian town of Haddington, a 39-year-old man found dead there. There was another fatality at Campsie Glen, north of Glasgow. There, the emergency services were out in force. Local reports say a 63-year-old woman fell from the path during a walk.
The weather has changed, but the heat wave has left its mark, with events at the weekend underlining once more that a hot climate and cold water can be a very dangerous mix.
That proved a particular challenge around Loch Lomond, as a huge influx of visitors tested the emergency services on land and water.
Over the course of the weekend, we were called by Scottish Ambulance to assist with casualties who had sustained injuries in difficult to reach places. Some included on the water, some included walkers on the sort of more remote areas of the West Highland Way.
Police were out in force around the loch, so too dozens of National Park workers. But with huge stretches of lochside to patrol, they were relying on visitors to take care.
It's deep water, no matter how hot the conditions are. It's very cold indeed, and particularly the further north you go in the loch, it's steeply shelves as well. So going into the water, if you're not an experienced open water swimmer, is extremely hazardous, and people should avoid it.
For now, this heat wave has passed, but much of the summer remains ahead, so there's every chance of more hot days to come, with the dangers that go with them. David Henderson, reporting Scotland, Loch Lomond.
Well, the Met Office has published its assessment of the UK's climate, which shows that weather extremes like we've just been experiencing are becoming the new normal. Well, our environment correspondent Kevin Keane joins us now from Aberdeenshire. Kevin, pretty different weather for many of us today, but what is the Met Office saying?
Yeah, actually what it always says is when you have something like a heat wave that we've just been experiencing, it's very difficult to attribute a single individual weather event like that to climate change. It's more to do with long-term patterns and trends, but it is perhaps helpful for them to be publishing this off the back of 3 consecutive heat waves, which is very unusual to have happened by this stage of the year, although it feels like it's very much over here in the rain. Now, this report looks at last year and the 10 years up to 2024, and it says that the average temperature over that decade in Scotland has increased by about 1 degree. For the UK as a whole, that is more like 1¼ degrees, and that, it says, is because that warming that we're experiencing seems to be happening more intensely in England and Wales compared with here in Scotland and Northern Ireland.
But Kevin, it's not just about temperatures, is it?
No, indeed. In fact, climate change affects many different types of weather systems. Of course, despite the rain, the northeast of Scotland for the first half of the year has been experiencing fairly low levels of rainfall, and so rivers like the Don behind me are at low levels. Of course, remember Storm Eowyn at the start of the year, where we had red weather warnings, and also we experienced very strong damaging gusts of winds. That, it says, is against the trend, but that just does demonstrate the extremes that we are experiencing.
OK, Kevin in Aberdeenshire, thank you. To some of the day's other stories now. And Sir Keir Starmer and John Swinney are to meet Donald Trump when the US President visits Scotland later this month. President Trump is expected to travel to his golf resort at Menny in Aberdeenshire. Downing Street said the Prime Minister had accepted an invitation to meet during the private trip, while the Scottish Government says Mr Swinney's meeting will be an opportunity to promote the interests of Scotland. President Trump will make a full state visit to the UK later this year. An Australian man has appeared in court accused of using a hammer to smash the glass case that houses the Stone of Destiny at Perth Museum. Arno Harrix-Caldy-Logan from Sydney was charged with malicious mischief during a private hearing at the city's Sheriff Court. The alleged incident took place on Saturday afternoon and led to the attraction being evacuated. The 35-year-old made no plea, was remanded in custody and is expected to return to court next week. A man has been sentenced to a 10-month nighttime curfew for his part in the disorder on Bonfire night in Edinburgh last year. 24-year-old Jordan McMillan had been found guilty of supplying fireworks which were fired at police officers and members of the public. Cameron Buttle was in court.
Police Scotland launched a major investigation following serious disorder in Edinburgh between Halloween and Bonfire night last year. Officers and emergency service workers were attacked with fireworks and missiles. The level of violence was described as wholly unacceptable by senior officers. Jordan McMillan had already been found guilty of culpable and reckless conduct for supplying fireworks to individuals who threw them at police and members of the public in Niddrie Mains Road.
In court today, Jordan McMillan was given a restriction of liberty order that will run for 10 months. That means he will have to be at home between 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. the following day. The sheriff said this was a direct alternative to custody, and if he breaches the order, he will be going to jail.
Leaving court, McMillan refused to answer questions, saying he had done nothing wrong.
Never done that. You haven't got me on CCTV. I never done nothing wrong.
At the time, senior officers said McMillan's conviction would send a clear message to others involved in the disorder. But today, the Police Federation said the sentence could have been tougher.
Well, I think time will tell whether or not this sentence is going to be enough, but we need a sentence that's going to stop this kind of action taking place within our communities in Scotland, and I'm not convinced that a curfew is enough, and a custodial would have been far more appropriate.
The Federation also called for an increase in officer numbers and a return to community policing in order to prevent future disorder around Bonfire night. Cameron Battle, reporting Scotland, Edinburgh.
OK, the news at 7 is coming up shortly over on the BBC Scotland channel. Sarah McMullen is here to tell us more. Hello, Sarah. What have you got for us tonight then?
Hello, Laura. Yes, it is. Well, tonight we're taking a look at the state of some of our older buildings. I think I can bring you some pictures just now. And this was meant to be the scene on one street in Glasgow over the weekend. A derelict tenement completely collapsing to the ground. Quite frightening for people that were passing nearby at the time. Now, that building has suffered a fire during the pandemic and had lain empty since. So I'm being joined now by an expert to ask him if we have a wider neglect problem when it comes to our tenements and our older buildings, and if there's anything we can do to preserve them for as long as we can. So all in the usual places, BBC Scotland channel and iPlayer, 7 o'clock.
Good stuff. Thank you, Sarah. Tonight's main news again. A man has been jailed for life for the brutal murder of his girlfriend at their South Lanarkshire home.
And coming up in the sport, we'll hear from the Motherwell manager on midfielder Lennon Miller's future.
Now, it brings together island communities from across the world in a week-long sporting competition. And for the first time in its history, Orkney is playing host. Organisers say the International Island Games is the biggest event ever to take place there, with more than 2,000 visitors expected. And one of them is our very own Laura McKeever, who is in Kirkwall for us this evening. Laura, Orkney's putting on quite a show this week, isn't it?
It really has, Laura. Honestly, Orkney is buzzing with the sights and the sounds of the Island Games, and so much hard work, so much preparation and so much training and long journeys have gone into making this happen. Now, there has been some really favourable weather. The first cloud of the day has just arrived, and all the competitors are here to make friends, to see old friends, but mostly they're here to compete and to win. And I've been out and about in Kirkwall speaking to some of them.
Orkney is awash with colour, activity and pride as it welcomes athletes from around the world. They've travelled some thousands of miles from their islands to these islands by air, land and sea. 15-year-old runner Tyler has made one of the longest journeys. He comes from St Helena, which has just one flight a week. He and some teammates travelled 5,000 miles and are staying with an Orkney vet who's been living and working there.
When I was walking up for the 100 metres, we had a St Helena crowd, and there was a few people here and there just cheering for St Helena. And then I think it was a group of people from Orkney who was like further up by the 100 metre start, and they were all cheering for me, and I was like so surprised.
There's so many different islands here, obviously, and some of them have got huge teams, but maybe the ones that have got the smaller teams, folk can pick folk out of that and relate to it. And yeah, his approach is, I mean, he's just young, but his approach is very professional, and he's taking it seriously, and he's got personal best today, so I mean, he's delighted.
More than 1,600 athletes from 24 island communities are here to compete, to make friends, and to be united by the concept of what it is to be an islander.
Come on. Come on.
Bowlers Teddy and Sibby from the Falklands are here to have fun and win.
It brings all the small islands together, and it creates a very, what would I call it, happy atmosphere. Yeah, we do this every 2 years, so we meet different people, we play against the same people and different people, so it's entertaining, it's a challenge, and we just love it.
It's called being competitive.
Hello everybody!
There are over 900 volunteers making sure things run smoothly.
I think certainly individuals my age group, we're not going to see this in my lifetime again. So I think it's a really good way of, community spirit, all coming together and giving back.
And the home teams are doing well. Triathlete Claire Rendell brought home Orkney's first gold medal of the Games. And in the swimming heats this morning, Cara Hanlon of the Western Isles set a Games record for the 50 metres breaststroke. Island Games ambassador and regular Orkney visitor Lorraine Kelly has been soaking up the scenery and the sport.
We've got a wee balmy wind today, but for the past couple of days it's been like the Maldives. It's been absolutely fantastic. The weather has been brilliant. Everybody in Orkney is out supporting the Games, and it's just been absolutely brilliant. The atmosphere is great. So good.
The sunshine may not continue all week, but the competition across 12 sports certainly does.
Well, I'm happy to say that the director, the organiser of this event is here to talk to us this evening, Kirsty Talbot. Kirsty, welcome. Thank you very much indeed, and for all your hard work. How does it feel to get to this stage? How's it going so far?
Oh, we're absolutely delighted to get to this stage. We had a fantastic opening ceremony on Saturday with over 5,500 folk came to the Bignell Park to celebrate, and then the streets were lined for hours and hours to welcome all the athletes along the parade. So it was great to see the Orkney community come out to celebrate. Yesterday was our first day of sport, so it kicked off with a bang, and then we've got all the sports now in action as of today as well. So like you said, there's a huge buzz about the place, and it's great to see all the member islands having such a great time here as well.
And we heard about that huge team of volunteers that have helped. How important has that been? You've only had about 3 paid staff, is that right, organising this?
That's absolutely correct. It's been no mean feat. We have 900 fantastic volunteers that are supporting us throughout the event, and we had a team of about 40 who are organising the sports for up to about 3 years. So they've been working really hard for such a long period of time, and it's great to see all their hard work coming to fruition now.
It's coming together. Well, Kirsty, we'll let you get back to continuing to organise it. Thank you for joining us on Reporting Scotland tonight.
Thank you.
And of course, we've heard so much tonight, and just in the past couple of days, about the spirit of Islanders, about them coming together, and the camaraderie, the competition, and what joins them. Who better to talk to about that than BBC Orkney's David Deldee. David, nice to see you. You're a veteran of the Games, aren't you? How would you say it's been to host this event here in Orkney?
Well, it's the biggest event that's ever been here, Laura. It really is a big deal. The weather's been absolutely perfect, and not everybody loves the Island Games, don't get me wrong there, but the crowds have been huge, and there's this sort of island mentality, isn't there? The 900 volunteers who are really making this Games happen. It wouldn't happen without them. Well, it's just a really feel-good atmosphere here, and we're like welcoming people here in Orkney, and Orkney is putting on a good show.
It really has been such a warm welcome, hasn't it? And you can just see how it feels for people to get together with like-minded people.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all islanders, aren't we? We face the same challenges, whether that be transport or connectivity, and you know, I've been speaking to people here from Bermuda or the Cayman Islands, and you might not initially think you've got a huge amount in common, but we absolutely
But you've found common ground.
Yeah.
David, thank you so much for now. We will have to leave it there, sadly, and head back to the mainland. Let's get all of the rest of today's sport now with Paul Barnes.
Thank you, Laura. It looks glorious up there in Orkney, and what a great atmosphere. Hello there. Let's start with rugby, and the British and Irish Lions captain Maro Itoje says the 3 new Scots drafted into the squad, Darcy Graham, Rory Sutherland and Ewan Ashman, can play a crucial role in making it a successful tour.
All of the players that have been called in are quality players. They're, you know, players that, like everyone else in the team, have a high level of experience and have achieve things in their career, so play a significant role in helping the team achieve its goal.
Well, a knock-on effect of that sizable Scottish contingent with the Lions is that Scotland's summer tour is proving somewhat more difficult, highlighted by a 29-14 defeat to Fiji. The loss was a major setback to Scotland's hopes of rising the 1 place needed in the World Rugby rankings to secure a top 6 seeding in the World Cup draw. And assistant coach Peter Horne insists there will be a better showing against Samoa on Saturday.
Look, we were all gutted with the result and the kind of manner of the defeat, but no, I think off the back of a defeat, I feel like it's always pretty easy for guys to get a bit of energy and get going again because you are desperate for another opportunity. So there's also nothing worse than finishing tour and finishing the season off the back of a defeat. So I think everyone will be desperate to right some wrongs and go well this weekend.
Football and the Motherwell manager Jens Bertel says there's been enough said about prized asset Lennon Miller, who's been tipped to leave Fir Park this summer. The teenager has 1 year left in his contract, and while Motherwell are in no rush to sell the Scotland international, a lucrative bid for the midfielder could trigger a move. Miller was injured for his side's weekend draw with Clyde and is also expected to miss out against Peterhead tomorrow.
I think there's been enough said about Lennon's situation for now. We have a game tomorrow, and I think that's the most important thing for us to focus on. I know and I understand and we appreciate all the interest there is around Lennon and his future and Motherwell as a football club. But I think it's for us right now. It's time to say let's look at it when something specific and concrete comes up and when we're ready to inform. He's done really well, so has the other guys, and then time will come where we need to address his future.
Elsewhere, Hearts manager Derek McInnes has stressed the importance of rotating his squad as the League Cup group stage comes thick and fast with a visit to play Hamilton Accies coming next at Broadwood. That follows what was eventually a comfortable 4-1 win at home to Dunfermline in McInnes' first competitive match in charge of the Tynecastle club. Captain Lawrence Shanklin, fresh from signing a new 3-year contract, scored 2 from the penalty spot. Golf, and Robert McIntyre is heading to the Open Championship, hoping to better his 6th place finish at Portrush 6 years ago, after a weekend he'd rather forget at the Scottish Open.
Horrific, terrible week, just on to next week.
What do you put that down to?
Just, I wasn't really enjoying, just wasn't to be this week. I could dig into things and cause havoc, but I just put it down to a bad week for me, and onto probably my favourite links golf course in the world.
And in cycling, Kelso's Oscar Onley remains 7th in the general classification of the Tour de France after a 14th place finish in stage 10. Fellow British rider Simon Yates broke away on Bastille Day to take the stage win, and it's Ireland's Ben Healy who has the yellow jersey going into tomorrow's rest day with a 29-second lead over Tadej Pogacar. And a much-needed rest day at that, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Looks not bad weather for it, though, doesn't it?
Nice in Orkney, nice in France.
I know,
nice
absolutely. Not for the rest of us, though, by the looks of it, Judith. It's not been so nice here, certainly, today.
Yeah, well, you know, Shetland has fared incredibly well and is going to continue to do so over the next few days. 19 Celsius there again tomorrow. So they really are benefiting from all this lovely weather, and the games of course looked amazing, didn't they? A very good evening to you. It was a dreich start across southwest Scotland, but this is the picture now. Glorious sunshine, a bit of a breeze, but that sunshine's warm as well. Now it's a changeable week, but not looking too bad at all. Yes, tonight we see the last of that weather front with today's rain starting to ease across northern Scotland. This wee feature bringing some rain into the south tomorrow, but the north looks good. Then a ridge of high pressure building for Wednesday, so Wednesday is a pretty nice day as well, and warm too. And as far as this evening is concerned, some warm sunshine through central and southern parts. That weather front in the north continuing to move northwards. It becomes confined to the very far north, and Orkney dwindling away to almost nothing but cloud. Shetland staying dry and clear. By the end of the night, the first signs of some showers into southern Scotland ahead of that weather front. Lows tonight 10 to 12 Celsius. So tomorrow, not a bad start to the day. Lots of sunshine for the northern half of Scotland. That cloud very quickly clearing away from the far north. Then we start to see rain gathering across the southwest in towards the Isles of Argyll as well. Excuse me, the rain extending across southern and central Scotland. It breaks up into showers for the afternoon. So come the afternoon, the beautiful Northern Isles faring very well indeed. Lots of dry weather with brighter sunny spells. We could see 18 or 19 Celsius here. Not bad at all. Sunny spells too for Caithness, for the northeast. But we'll pick up a wee bit more in the way of cloud across Angus and towards Teesside, Fife, Edinburgh, the Lothians and the Borders, and still some showery rain here come the afternoon, around 17 Celsius. Showers for the southwest, equally some bright spells in between those showers, similarly for Argyll. To the north of Argyll, though, dry, sunny and warm too. We could see 20 or 21 Celsius, so not looking too bad at all across northern Scotland tomorrow. Those showers ease as we head into tomorrow evening. Not a bad end to the day, dry with late sunshine, leading to clear spells overnight, and a lovely start to the day on Wednesday. Maybe the odd shower for Shetland, maybe the odd light one for the south. That aside, dry, sunny, and those temperatures could reach 24 Celsius. That's your forecast.
Thank you, Judith. And that is Reporting Scotland. I will have your late news around 10:30 tonight. Until then, from everyone on the team, do enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.